Imagine standing in front of a tall iron gate. Behind you is the life you've always known, your home, your comfort, your freedom to wake up whenever you want. But beyond that gate, everything changes. Thousands of young men and women have walked through those gates before you, and every single one of them faced the same reality. Once you step inside, your identity as a civilian slowly disappears. Your habits are challenged, your limits are tested, your mind and body are pushed further than you ever thought possible. But in exchange for all of that hardship, something powerful is created: discipline, strength, brotherhood, and eventually, a title that millions respect, but very few ever earn: Marine. But becoming a Marine is not just about surviving boot camp. It's about climbing a long ladder of responsibility, leadership, and sacrifice. A journey that begins with the lowest rank imaginable, and for a very small number of individuals, can end with leading thousands of Marines. Today, we're going to walk through that entire journey, from the very first day as a recruit all the way to the highest ranks in the Marine Corps. This is the full story of how someone becomes a Marine and how far that path can go. Level 1. The beginning of every Marine. Every enlisted Marine in history has started their journey in exactly one of two places. There are only two locations in the entire world where Marine recruits are trained. The first is Marine Corps Recruit Depot Parris Island. The second is Marine Corps Recruit Depot San Diego. There is no third option. If someone wants to become a Marine, their journey begins at one of these two bases. For more than 100 years, these locations have shaped generations of Marines. When new recruits arrive, the transformation begins immediately. There are no slow introductions, no gentle warm-ups. From the very first moment, recruits are thrown into a world of strict discipline. Boot camp lasts around 13 weeks, but those 13 weeks are designed to push recruits harder than almost anything they've experienced before. The days begin before sunrise. Recruits wake up early, often while it's still dark outside. Within minutes, they are already moving, running, training, preparing for another demanding day. Physical training is constant: long runs, obstacle courses, strength training, and endurance exercises that test both body and mind. But physical strength alone is not enough. Marine training is designed to build mental toughness. Drill instructors challenge recruits every single day. They demand attention to detail, perfect discipline, and absolute teamwork. Mistakes are corrected immediately, sometimes loudly, sometimes repeatedly, because the goal is not just to train individuals. The goal is to create Marines who can rely on each other in the most stressful situations imaginable. At this stage, recruits hold the lowest rank in the Marine Corps: Private, also known as E1. There is no insignia on the uniform, no special privileges, no authority. Every recruit starts at the exact same level, and most importantly, they are not called Marines yet. That title must be earned. The moment everything changes. Near the end of boot camp, recruits face one of the most famous challenges in Marine training. It's called the Crucible. For many recruits, this becomes the most unforgettable experience of their entire training. The Crucible lasts for more than 2 days, over 50 exhausting hours. During that time, recruits face a series of physical and mental tests. They march long distances carrying heavy gear. They complete difficult obstacle courses. They solve team challenges that require cooperation and leadership. Sleep is extremely limited. Food is minimal. Fatigue builds quickly. But that's the point. The goal of the Crucible is to push recruits to the edge of their limits, because Marines must learn to keep moving forward even when they feel exhausted, even when things seem impossible. And finally, at the end of this challenge, something incredibly meaningful happens. Each recruit receives a small emblem: the eagle, the globe, and the anchor, the symbol of the Marine Corps. For the first time in their lives, they are no longer recruits. They are finally called Marines. And that moment becomes one of the proudest memories of their entire lives.
Level 2. The first promotion. After graduating from boot camp, new Marines begin the next stage of their journey. But training is not over yet. Before joining their permanent units, many Marines continue additional training depending on their job. Infantry Marines usually attend the School of Infantry. Other Marines attend different training schools where they learn the specific skills required for their role. This could include communications, engineering, aviation support, logistics, or intelligence. During this period, Marines start gaining real experience. They learn how the Marine Corps actually operates day to day. After some time in service, many Marines earn their first promotion, Private First Class, also known as E2. This rank represents the first step forward in a Marine's career. The change might seem small from the outside, but inside the Marine Corps, every promotion represents trust. Trust that a Marine understands discipline. Trust that they can follow orders properly. Trust that they can contribute to the team. Private First Class Marines still spend most of their time learning. They continue improving their physical fitness. They refine their job skills. And they learn how to work smoothly with their fellow Marines. At this stage, teamwork becomes even more important, because the Marine Corps depends heavily on small units operating together. Every individual must know their role, and every Marine must support the others around them. Level 3. The Lance Corporal. The next promotion brings Marines to one of the most common ranks in the entire Corps, Lance Corporal. This rank is held by a huge number of Marines across many units. For many young service members, this stage defines their early career. Lance Corporals are no longer brand new Marines. They now understand how their unit works. They know the daily routines. They know their responsibilities. And they begin to carry more weight within the team. Lance Corporals perform many important tasks that keep operations running smoothly. They maintain equipment. They assist senior Marines. They train alongside their units and participate in field exercises. Many Marines also experience their first overseas assignments at this stage. Some may travel to training bases in Japan. Others may deploy aboard naval ships. And some may serve in regions where the Marine Corps maintains a strong presence around the world. For many young Marines, this is the first time they experience life far from home, often thousands of miles away. Most Lance Corporals are still very young. Many are only 19 or 20 years old. But despite their age, they operate in environments that require discipline, awareness, and responsibility. They learn how to adapt quickly, how to handle pressure, and how to work as part of a professional military team. During this stage, Marines begin preparing for their next major step: leadership. Because in the Marine Corps, leadership begins earlier than many people expect. The next rank will officially place them in charge of other Marines, and that changes everything. The culture of the Marine Corps. One thing that makes the Marine Corps unique is its culture. Marines take pride in their history, their traditions, and the bond they share with each other. This sense of brotherhood and sisterhood is built during training, but it grows even stronger during real service. Marines train together, deploy together, and often face difficult challenges together. Because of that shared experience, many Marines describe the Corps as more than just a job. They describe it as a family. Senior Marines guide younger ones. Experienced leaders mentor those who are still learning. And every Marine is expected to uphold the reputation of the Corps. That reputation has been built over nearly 2.5 centuries, since the founding of the United States Marine Corps in 1775. Through every generation, new Marines continue that legacy, learning from those who came before them and preparing to lead those who come after.
After gaining experience as a lance corporal, some Marines earn a promotion that changes their role completely. Corporal. This rank marks the beginning of true leadership. In the Marine Corps, corporals are known as non-commissioned officers, often called NCOs. This means they are no longer just responsible for themselves. Now they are responsible for other Marines. A corporal is often placed in charge of a small combat unit called a fire team. A typical fire team consists of about 4 Marines working together. Each member has a specific role. One may carry a rifle. Another may handle communications. Another may provide suppressing fire during combat situations. The corporal becomes the leader of this team. That means they must guide, train, and protect the Marines under their command. They ensure their team stays disciplined. They make sure everyone understands the mission. And during training or operations, they are responsible for making quick decisions. For many Marines, this is the first time they truly understand what leadership means. It's no longer just about following orders. Now they must give orders as well. They must stay calm under pressure. They must think clearly during difficult situations. And they must set an example for the Marines who follow them. Because in the Marine Corps, leadership always begins at the smallest level. Level 5. The Sergeant. As Marines gain more experience and prove their leadership ability, the next step is Sergeant. Sergeant is one of the most respected ranks in the entire Marine Corps. By the time someone becomes a sergeant, they have usually spent several years serving and training with their unit. They have seen how the Marine Corps operates, both during training exercises and real missions. And now their responsibilities grow even larger. Sergeants often lead entire squads. A Marine squad typically includes around 12 to 13 Marines. That means a sergeant must coordinate multiple fire teams at once. Each team may have its own leader, usually a corporal. The sergeant oversees them all. They ensure the squad works together smoothly. They manage training schedules. They prepare their Marines for field exercises. And they make sure everyone in the squad stays ready for any mission. This requires strong communication and organization. Sergeants also serve as the bridge between officers and enlisted Marines. Officers create the overall mission plan, but sergeants make sure those plans are actually carried out on the ground. They translate strategy into action. This level of responsibility requires trust. Officers rely heavily on their sergeants to keep their squads disciplined and prepared, and younger Marines look to sergeants for guidance and leadership. Many Marines say that sergeants are the backbone of the Corps, because they are the leaders who work directly with the troops every single day. Leadership under pressure. Leadership in the Marine Corps is not only about giving instructions, it's about making decisions when situations become difficult. Sometimes those decisions must be made very quickly. In training exercises, sergeants guide their squads through complex scenarios. They may lead night operations, coordinate movement across rough terrain, or organize defensive positions. Every Marine must know exactly what to do, and the sergeant ensures that everyone stays focused and prepared. During deployments,
that responsibility becomes even more serious. The safety and success of the entire squad often depends on the decisions made by its leader. That's why training in leadership in the Marine Corps is constant. Marines are always learning, always improving, always preparing for greater responsibility. Because for those who continue advancing through the ranks, even greater leadership roles lie ahead. The path towards senior leadership. After proving themselves as sergeants, some Marines continue climbing the enlisted ranks. Their experience grows, their leadership responsibilities expand, and their influence within the Marine Corps becomes even greater. These Marines begin entering the ranks known as Staff Non-Commissioned Officers. This group includes some of the most experienced and respected leaders in the entire Corps. Men and women who have spent many years mastering their profession and who now help shape the next generation of Marines.
Level 6. Staff Non-Commissioned Officers. After years of service and leadership, some Marines rise beyond the rank of sergeant. They enter a group of ranks known as Staff Non-Commissioned Officers, often called SNCOs. These Marines are among the most experienced leaders in the entire Corps. By this stage, many of them have spent a decade or more serving in the military. They have trained countless younger Marines. They have participated in large training operations, and many have experienced multiple deployments around the world. The first rank in this group is Staff Sergeant. Staff Sergeants often take on larger leadership roles within their units. One common position is Platoon Sergeant. A platoon can contain dozens of Marines, usually organized into several squads. The Staff Sergeant helps coordinate training, readiness, and discipline across the entire platoon. They guide younger leaders like corporals and sergeants. They make sure everyone in the unit is prepared for their mission. Their experience becomes extremely valuable because they have seen how the Marine Corps operates in both training and real operations. The legendary rank, Gunnery Sergeant. Within the Corps, they are often called by a simple nickname, Gunny. Gunnery sergeants are respected for their deep knowledge and long experience. By this point, a Marine may have spent more than 10 years in service. They understand the culture of the Corps. They understand how units function during difficult situations, and they often become mentors for younger Marines. Gunny is known for enforcing standards, making sure equipment is ready, making sure Marines stay disciplined, and ensuring that training is taken seriously. When a gunnery sergeant speaks, Marines listen because they know that rank represents years of dedication and leadership. Level 7. First Sergeant and Sergeant Major. As Marines continue their careers, some move into even higher leadership roles. Two of the most important ranks at this stage are First Sergeant and Sergeant Major. A First Sergeant serves as the senior enlisted leader of a Marine company. A company may contain more than 100 Marines. The First Sergeant works closely with the company commander. Together, they manage discipline, morale, training, and the overall welfare of the unit. If there are problems among the Marines, the First Sergeant helps solve them. If the unit needs stronger discipline, the First Sergeant enforces it. They are responsible for making sure the company stays strong and organized. The next rank above that is Sergeant Major. Sergeant Majors serve at larger organizational levels, such as battalions, regiments, or divisions. Their experience allows them to advise senior officers. They help ensure that the voices and concerns of enlisted Marines are heard by leadership. These Marines are not only leaders, they are also symbols of experience and tradition within the Corps. The highest enlisted Marine. At the very top of the enlisted path is a position held by only one Marine at a time, the Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps. This Marine represents every enlisted member serving across the entire organization. They serve as the senior enlisted advisor to the leadership of the United States Marine Corps. Their role is to speak for the thousands of Marines serving around the world. They help guide policy. They help shape training standards, and they ensure that the needs of enlisted Marines are understood by senior leaders. Reaching this level requires decades of service, leadership, and dedication. But the Marine Corps journey does not stop with enlisted ranks. There is another path within the Corps, one that focuses on commanding units and planning operations. The path of the officers.
Level 8. The Officer Path. While many Marines begin their careers as enlisted personnel, others start on a different path, the path of leadership through the officer ranks. Marine officers can enter the Corps through several different programs. Some attend military academies. Others complete officer training after finishing college. But regardless of how they enter, every Marine officer must go through one important stage of training. They attend the Basic School, located in Quantico, Virginia. At this school, officers spend months learning the fundamentals of leadership and combat. Even officers who will later work in aviation, logistics, or intelligence must first learn how to lead Marines in combat situations. Because in the Marine Corps, every officer is expected to be capable of leading Marines on the battlefield if necessary. This philosophy has shaped Marine leadership for generations. Company-level officers. The first rank in the Marine Corps is second lieutenant. New lieutenants are often placed in charge of a platoon. A platoon can contain around 40 Marines. That means a brand new officer may suddenly find themselves responsible for dozens of highly trained Marines. Fortunately, they are not alone. They work closely with experienced enlisted leaders like platoon sergeants. Together, they guide and train the platoon. The next rank is first lieutenant. At this stage, officers gain more experience managing both training and operations. Many lieutenants spend several years developing their leadership abilities before moving to the next rank. After that comes captain. Captains usually command companies. A Marine company can contain more than 100 Marines. Company commanders are responsible for everything their unit does: training, readiness, discipline, and mission success. They rely heavily on senior enlisted leaders like first sergeants to maintain order and effectiveness within the company. This partnership between officers and enlisted leaders is one of the strongest traditions in the Marine Corps. Senior officers. As officers gain experience, some rise into senior leadership roles. The next ranks include major, lieutenant colonel, and colonel. A major often serves as an operations officer, helping coordinate missions and training for large units. A lieutenant colonel may command a battalion. A Marine battalion can include hundreds of Marines, organized into multiple companies. That means the battalion commander must manage complex operations and large numbers of personnel. Above that rank is colonel. Colonels often command regiments. A regiment can include several thousand Marines. At this level, leadership focuses more on strategy, planning, and coordination between multiple units. Decisions made by these leaders can influence entire military operations. The generals. At the very top of the Marine Corps leadership structure are the general officers. These ranks include brigadier general, major general, lieutenant general, and general. General officers oversee extremely large formations of Marines. They plan major military operations, they coordinate with other branches of the military, and they help guide the long-term direction of the Marine Corps. The highest-ranking Marine in the entire Corps is known as the Commandant of the Marine Corps. This leader works directly with national military leadership and government officials. Their responsibility is to ensure the Marine Corps stays prepared for any mission in the future. The legacy. The Marine Corps traces its history back to the year 1775. For nearly 2.5 centuries, Marines have served in conflicts around the world, from the trenches of World War I to the island battles of World War II, to modern missions across the globe.
Each generation of Marines carries forward the traditions of those who came before them, the discipline, the courage, and the commitment to serve something greater than themselves. Final message. Right now, somewhere in the world, a young person is sitting inside a Marine recruiting office, thinking about their future, thinking about challenge, thinking about the possibility of earning a title that few people ever achieve: Marine. They don't yet know how difficult the journey will be. They don't yet know the long path of training, leadership, and responsibility that lies ahead. But if they choose that path, their journey will begin exactly the same way every Marine's journey begins: standing front of a gate as a recruit. And beyond that gate, a completely new life.